The Bear Jew. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Eli Roth.
Wow.
Look at this place.
Everybody having a wicked good Sunday or what? Yeah. Can't believe you're here. We're not watching the fucking Pats game. It's great to be here. I love it. I love the Sunday afternoon is always like the chill one, but it's great that you guys, hung in there.
It's the Lord's Day.
It is, or the Antichrist Day if we're around here. So it's great to be here.
So I like doing this in every panel, and I especially am excited for you to see this. Silver Scream Con. Who here is at their first horror convention? Or Silver Scream was your first horror convention? I mean, dude, it's like...
Good for you.
Yeah, and it's just so great to have everyone sort of coming together into the horror community. There's just a different energy with this show, and everyone who runs it, everyone involved in it, it's just incredible. I am very excited, Mr. Roth, to have this conversation. As a fellow Gen Xer, first of all, we got that...
Thank you for aging me. But
yeah, I was going to say, early 70s crowd. Is it just us, or...?
Watch how slowly we get up and down out of the chairs.
But take us all the way back to what were some of the earliest films, earliest memories that you have that not only caused you to fall in love with the medium, but to make you go, I need to be involved, I want to participate, I got to do this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, when I grew up, I was just kind of becoming aware of movies, well, like right before VCRs and cable TV. So there were certain movies that if a movie was in the theaters and you didn't see it, it would come to TV like heavily censored, like Jaws or The Exorcist. Channel 38 had a show called The Movie Loft, and Dana Hersey, who always looked like he was high, Dana Hersey, Movie Loft. Anyone who's old remembers Dana Hersey. He was great. He really knew movies. And then there was a show called The Lenny Clark Show that was on like Channel 56 at like 1 in the morning on Saturday nights. And the Lenny Clark Show would show like Son of the Blob and Elvira, Movie Macabre. Like I would get these weirdo movies, but they were very hard to find. So I finally saw, I went to Florida with my parents, my brothers, and there was a closed circuit cable system at the hotel. And there was the Killer Bees were on or something with the Swarm. And I was like, Dad, I want to watch the Killer Bees. I was like 6, and my dad goes, well, if you want to see something really scary, it looks like this movie, The Exorcist, is on Channel 3. And my mother's like, Sheldon, absolutely not. So of course, as soon as my mom objects, my brother's like, Exorcist! I mean, 2 hours later, my brothers were under the covers. My mom's going, turn her off, turn her off. And I was just like glued to the screen, like this endurance test. Like I'd never felt that rush of adrenaline before. And I was like traumatized. I thought I was going to get possessed by the devil. And my mom was like, we're Jewish. We don't worry. It's like, and I was like, we have a Dybbuk. I was like, the fuck's a Dybbuk? That's not scary. I was like, I'll be the exception. I was like, the devil will possess me to point out that anybody is fair game. So I was like totally freaked out that I was going to get, I couldn't even look at pictures of The Exorcist. And then I remember very vividly seeing the TV spots for Alien. And it was just going over that grid, and then the egg cracks up and it's like, Alien, rated R. And I was like, I gotta see it, I gotta see it. And it was like Shabbat dinner, again, going back to Jewish, and I begged my parents, I was like, I wanna go see Alien. And my dad's like, I'll take you to go see Alien. So I went with my dad to the Circle Cinema in Brookline, Mass. And I was just like, as soon as the credits started, it said like produced by David Giler and Walter Hill. And I just said, I was 8, I was like, I wanna be a producer. And my dad goes, well, Eli, the producer has to come up with all the money. And then it said directed by Ridley Scott. And I went, what does the director do? My dad goes, well, the director gets to spend all the money and tell everybody what to do. And I was like, I think I want to be the director. And then I saw the movie and I was so freaked out. And then I remember at the ending, I was like shaking in the theater. And I'd never seen anything. It was like a mix of Jaws and Star Wars. Star Wars was my favorite movie. And then I was like, just like trembling. And then I was like, we gotta leave. And then Sigourney Weaver said, take your clothes off. And I did this, I was like. And I watched the last 15 minutes of the movie, frozen in the aisle, turned like in a runner sprint. Like that alien showed up. I was fucking out the door, but I made it through the end, and the cat got saved. So that obviously was Thanksgiving. But that to me was like, I didn't give a fuck what happened to Sigourney Weaver. I wanted to make sure Jones the cat was all right. So I had to know. You can still have that weird obsession. Like I can't relax in a movie if I know the animal's in danger. It really upsets me, even though I know it's fake. So then I studied. My father's a psychoanalyst and was a professor at Harvard, but had gone to high school performing arts and studied acting in New York City in the theater world. And they said, my mother's an artist, she'd been a music teacher, and they were like, if you want to be a director, you know, you're really gonna have to work hard and you're gonna have to study, but you should start shooting films now. And my mom had a friend who was an artist. She was like, you know, my Lois's son Daniel, he makes movies, it's Super 8. So we kind of put together this class, and we paid this guy Daniel Polanski, who was 19 at the time, to teach us how to do Super 8 stop motion. So suddenly it was like this shift in me that like, oh my God, I can really do this. And at the time, like being a director was a crazy thing. And then, you know, at your bar mitzvah, the rabbi's like, you have to say what you want to do with your life. Like, who the fuck knows at 12 what they want to be? Well, I did. And I remember saying to the rabbi, I was like, I'm gonna be, because they're gonna announce it, I'm gonna be a motion picture producer director. And he said to me, well, I don't understand. Are you going to be a producer or a director? I go, both. Because that's the only way to retain control of your cut. I mean, the rabbi just looks at me and he's like, I don't understand what any of it, what does that even mean? And I go, Stanley Kubrick's movies say produced and directed by, and he was Jewish, okay? And they go, all right. So, and everybody laughed at me. They laughed at me in my bar mitzvah. And they announced it. They're like in, like Richard, because there were so many Jewish kids in Newton, they give you a twin, you get paired up. It's like they double up on bar mitzvah. They're like, and Richard did become a writer. Like Richard's gonna be a writer, and Eli's gonna be a motion picture producer, director, which everyone laughed at. And I was like, go ahead, laugh. I'll be the one laughing.
Love you.
So who's laughing now? But I sort of got known, you know, you have your like identity in school and high school, and it was like, and Jeff Rendell, who I started shooting on films, we wrote Thanksgiving together, like every weekend, all I would do is think of what to shoot. My dad got a VHS camera, so I shoot Super 8, stop motion, live action, just experiment. And I took it all through high school, and then I applied to NYU Film School. I got an early decision. I went to film school. I started interning and wrote Cabin Fever. I wrote the story when I was 19. I wrote the script when I was 22. Spent 6 years raising the money. It was just a grind. But I remember that it was that experience of Alien. And I remember like watching Bugs Bunny and being like, God, how cool. I would love to do animation. So I really started in, a lot of my stuff is on YouTube. The Rotten Fruit, it's the stop motion animation I did. Put some on the Cabin Fever DVD. But I just like, you know, I mean, really from my mom's painting, I would just like kind of start with a blank canvas. But I remember in film school being like, well, I don't know how to write. I mean, a lot of people still say I don't know how to write. But I remember thinking, well, I'm not going to get any better unless I make myself do this. Like, no one is going to hand me anything. I'm like a fucking kid from Newton with zero connections in the film industry. And my dad was really smart. He's like, think of it like a pyramid, and there's very little room at the top of the pyramid, and they don't want to let anybody new in. So you're going to have to find a way in that's different or better than everyone else, so that they have to make room. You know, you kind of break your way into it, which is what I did with Cabin Fever.
Wow. By the way, clearly you were born to be a storyteller based on that story had like arcs and beats, and there was great dialogue with the bar mitzvah, and I mean your dad, the thing with the producer, gives the money and the director. I mean that. If you ever make an autobiographical film, those lines have got to be in.
I want to write an autobiography. I was thinking of either calling it "They Laughed at Me in My Bar Mitzvah" or "All the Gory Details," but somewhere between the two. But I have all these stories. I want to just like focus and actually write them, because it's like I want it to be like a how-to guide.
Yes.
Even though it wouldn't apply, because obviously it's so different the way you would do it now in 2024. But that's also what's exciting. You know, I love seeing how anyone can just, you know, make a TikTok or make, you know, a short film or something that goes viral on YouTube. I mean, they're like before it was absolutely impossible to get your work out there, to get it seen by anyone, to have it reach an audience. And now you can literally shoot something on your phone and put it out there, and the whole world can discover it. Whether it's you saying Hawk Tua or, you know, whatever it is, you're just like, wait, what? That? And then they're like extremely famous. Like there's something kind of odd and equalizing and wonderfully hilarious about the randomness of it. But also you can make a short film. I mean, that's how John Watts did Clown. There was someone put out a parody trailer of Hostel, and I saw it. It said like from director Eli Roth, Clown. It was a fake trailer that came out, and I tracked him down and I found him, and I was like, dude, they said thank you for not suing me. I said, well, you're not worth anything. Let's make the movie first. We can spend the rest of our lives suing each other. That's how it works. That's the fun. They only sue when something's a hit. My God. No. So we spent a year, and that was John Watts, who just, Wolves is coming out. But we spent a year, me and him and Chris Ward, working on that script. I was like, I'll get you $1.5 million. Go and shoot this in 18 days. And then the studio's like, nobody wants to see a movie about clowns killing children. 6 years before it hit. So they buried it for a while. But that's the fun. It's like you can make something and just put it out there and people can see it. Just as you can make something and put it in 3,000 theaters and people won't see it. So it goes both ways.
When you mentioned animals in jeopardy and that alien experience, is that where the phrase "Save the Cat" came from? Was someone watching Alien? Been writing that book?
It might have been. No, it's I don't know if you guys know. This is a famous screenwriting book called "Save the Cat," and it's I think it was Sid Field. It was but "Save the Cat" talks about having your character do something, save the cat moment in a movie, to get little tricks, like John Avildsen, when he made Rocky, he's like, I'll always have my main character feed the cat. That's why Rocky works at a pet store. It's because anytime you see someone feeding an animal in a movie, you like them, automatically. Like, that's why, that's why John Carver feeds the cat, and everyone's like, movie flips at that moment, you're on the side of the killer. You're like, I don't fuck everyone, he feeds the cat. It's not the cat's so that's like, but it's just like, if I would watch a movie, and if there's someone who gets killed and there's a dog, I'm just like, wait, who's gonna feed the dog? I don't care, it's not part of the movie, and that was a minor character. I'm worried about that dog. That dog did nothing wrong. Why is the dog suffering? So it's, And look, I still watch Cannibal Holocaust in movies where like real animals are killed. Obviously, that's not the enjoyable part. And it was made at a different time, but I always wanted to try and, that's why in Green Inferno, the animals just run free and the humans are in the cage. I always try to have like a pro, I love sharks, I'm very kind of pro animal, I just always have them.
And you mentioned,